Hey, welcome back to Bedrock Farlands. We're starting today in a creative copy of the world because I wanted to talk about beacons. Fully powered beacons are supposed to cover 50 blocks out in a square column, starting 50 blocks below the beacon and going up to world height. Knowing this, in the last world I used 4 beacons to cover my 200 by 220 dig site, knowing that I'd lose power towards each end. But my experience found that I lost power in the middle, which you can see here, and more than I was expecting at the ends. So I knew I would lose like this area. I didn't know that I would lose this extra area here, or a little bit there, or a little bit there. And I realized that I did not account for sim distance. I'm borrowing this screenshot from Silent Whisper's mob switch video, which we'll talk about more later in this video. On Sim 4, the game is only active 4 chunks out in each direction. So if the gold block is where I am, the game is loading 4 chunks out in each direction. And also like from the corner, so this chunk is touching the one I'm in. So it's also 4 chunks out from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the only diagonal that works. It doesn't work past that. So it's not like 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you've never been able to quite make sense of the Sim 4 explanations, that's how I finally wrapped my head around it. It's because these diagonal blocks are considered connected to my chunk. So this is loaded and then 4 out from there. If I overlay this square, a rough estimate of 50 blocks from the center point, this represents the beacon range. So if my beacon were perfectly placed in the center here, it would go 50 blocks out this way, 50 blocks out this way in a square column. But as you can see, the game isn't loading this little chunk because we're on Sim 4. Now, if you're on Sim 6 or higher, this isn't going to matter. You're going to get the full 50 block beacon range. But for those of us that play on Sim 4, we lose the corners. And then depending on where in this chunk the beacon is, this corner might be bigger, this corner might be smaller. It just depends exactly where in the chunk you put the beacon. So if we pop back into my creative world, you can see that's what I did here. I activated one beacon at a time. So I activated this beacon and then laid out the red border of its range. And then I shut it down, activated this beacon, laid out a yellow border for its range. And you can definitely see how we're losing the corners. Otherwise, I actually got them pretty well spaced. For some reason, they weren't perfectly centered. So I lost more on the edges over there. And then over here, it went outside of the border a little bit. But this direction, and even this direction, you can see how the ranges like just barely touched each other. So I actually did a pretty good job getting them spaced. I just wasn't accounting for losing the corners and then having this big dead zone right in the middle, or these large dead zones at each end. So what I decided to do was, if I move this beacon a little bit closer to this one over here, so we scooch this over 20 blocks or so, or 16 blocks even, then this line moves and touches this red line. So this area will have an overlapping beacon power, but it lets the corners cover each other. So this is what the map looks like in the creative copy with 4 beacons. And this is what the map looks like with 6 beacons. So you can see I've outlined the entire yellow beacon range and the red beacon range. And then over here, we're going to have some overlapping. So the green beacon is going to overlap here, but it is over enough that it picks up this corner right there. And then we go to the end of that beacon range, and we set the orange one up so that it would pick up this corner here. And then you can see it actually went up into the hills a little bit. So when I go to terraform, that'll already be covered a little bit. That'll be nice. But you can definitely see that with 6 beacons, I've found the proper placement to actually cover my whole entire dig site. So that'll be a whole lot easier than having to deal with dead spots all the time. Also, while we're here, I wanted to point out, you can see that I did start to build my walls. And that actually, I did that in the last world. I outlined where the wall was going to go around the rim of my dig site. And the dig site is leveled to Y90. And that's where we started when Farland Season 1 started. This is what my dig site looked like. So now we're going to jump over to the live server. You can see I've made a ton of progress. Once I had the XP farm and the trading hall for unlimited pickaxes, and Moss and Gigi built a shulker farm so I can buy all the storage I need. And then all of my 6 beacons are set up and ready to go. Actually, you can't see them because I buried them down at negative Y30. I've just been quietly digging away. I also built this wall. Here, we'll come down here for a little closer look. So I built this wall around the whole rim of the dig site, and I designed it to be similar to the walls in the ancient city. Obviously, it's stone and not deep slate because that's what I have a lot of right now, and I just feel like it matches better to not be deep slate up here. And then down here, I have this layer of glass because I was getting snow accumulating in the dig site. Found out later, snow doesn't even accumulate on glass, so that's been perfect. And I've been able to dig during snowstorms without having to worry about snow. I'm assuming I won't need it at some point. Snow shouldn't accumulate below a certain Y level, right? Anyway, I'll leave it for now. My best guess is that going from Y90 down to Y40 took about 200 hours. Somebody had mentioned they were looking forward to the time lapse of it, but 200 hours is just way too much footage to try to work with. So I actually don't have any footage of me digging. That also would have required my second account to be on all the time. And usually if I'm on here digging, I'm resting also and just looking for mindless work. And I didn't have it in me to record all the footage of all of my digging. Speaking of Y40, that brings me to the second part of my video. If you know anything about slime mechanics, you know what happened when I started clearing Y38 and Y39. Yeah, I can't work like this. They were driving me absolutely bananas. So I thought, no problem, throw a bunch of slime in boats and shut down the spawns. But my first, second, third attempt weren't working. So I watched Silent Whisper's mob switch tutorial, which I'll link to on the screen now. If you haven't heard of mob switches, it's basically just the practice of putting a group of mobs in a secured space to prevent other mobs from spawning in the area. But even with 24 slimes, it wasn't working for me. So I asked in the Truly Bedrock Discord, and I'll link that website in the description. If you haven't seen them, you should check them out. They're pretty cool people. From the video, I knew I needed 8 surface spawn mobs to stop slimes from spawning on the surface, and 16 cave spawned mobs to shut down the caves below me.
Squirrel moments with Sunflower.
Baby slime doo 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 doo, baby slime doo 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 doo, baby slime doo 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 doo, baby slime. Ah! Okay, enough of that. This guy here, he obviously spawned on the surface. Open air access, right? The mechanic that I didn't know is once I break him down, his offspring, so these guys, are no longer considered surface spawns. For some reason, the game recategorizes them as cave spawns. So, killing all these guys, well, this one spawned naturally. So these guys are actually all cave spawns. This will make getting 16 baby slimes to be my cave spawns for the mob switch really easy. But I will have to be patient and careful to wait for medium and small slimes to spawn in there, because big slime can't fit in boats, so they're not ideal for what I'm trying to do here. So I need to get 8 either baby or medium-sized slimes to spawn naturally on the surface, name tag them, don't break them down, trap them in boats, and then they'll be my 8 surface spawns. The other thing I had to do was decide where I wanted to put my mob switches. And you can see I've already got 4 of them set up. I've got this one over there. You can't see the slime yet. If I go here in the middle, can we see all 4? We lost that one. Nope, can't quite get close enough, but you can almost see the glass right there and right there. And then those guys and those guys. So I have 4 of my switches set up, but I had to decide where I wanted them. And if you remember the graph from earlier, a mob switch will cover the entire sim distance around it. So the chunk that these guys are in, the chunk will cover, oh, no, don't want to slide you off of there. The chunk these guys are in, it will cover 4 chunks this way. 1, 2, 3, 4. So actually it almost covers to the next switch I set up. But here's the thing. I didn't want to have to do the maths again. All I knew is that the mob switches covered a larger space than the beacons. So if I set up my switches along with each beacon, that'll cover my entire dig site plus some. So you can see when we get a little closer here. Yep, see, so I set these guys right on top of my beacons. So that beacon, that one, and those 2. And then I just have 2 more that I need to do. I also didn't know that the mob switches will actually cover all the way from Bedrock to build limit. I assumed it was limited to the spawn sphere, which is a max of 44 blocks. And that's why I didn't set these up ages ago. Like, this would have been really nice probably the whole entire time I've been digging, because then I wouldn't have had to worry about sleeping every time or, stop digging when someone needed the night. Yeah, I had no idea that they went from Bedrock to build limit. That's really, really nice. And then once I get down to the ancient city and have it uncovered and clear all the shriekers, I'll relocate all these guys down below the city. Actually, let's go. That's what this is about over here. So according to my little test here, these are my surface spawn guys. You can tell because they're name tagged. All of my caved spawn ones are, their parent was name tagged, and so they're persistent because they inherited that from their parent, but they didn't inherit the name. So that's how I know these are my caves or my surface spawns. I covered them. The game still sees them as surface spawns and blocks surface spawns, because otherwise we'd be surrounded by slimes. They were like, I don't know, there's actually like 16 slime chunks in this dig site, and there were 3 or 4 clustered right over here. So yeah, we would be seeing slimes if this roof was causing it to block these as surface spawns. So no, these are surface spawns even if they're covered without sky access. So I will relocate them below the ancient city eventually, and then they won't be eyesores anymore. So that'll be a nice point to get to. Whew, that was a lot of information and numbers. If you're still with me, I need to finish setting up the final 2 switches. I'll need glass for the platform, name tags to make the slimes persistent, and boats to trap them in so that I don't have to listen to their constant bouncing. So I'm going to grab those things, and then we're going to go set up the mob switches down there at the end that still need to be done. The medium slime can be naturally spawned, because then we'll break them down and they'll become babies. And then we've got this big guy over here, which we can break down. There we go. And then we'll name tag. I probably could have name tagged the big guy, I'm just not sure. So I always just play it safe. Not sure which one I missed. There we go. Name you. Got you. Okay. Oh, lost one. Nope. Oh yeah, that's fine. And then you. Okay, nobody's hurting me. You're all babies. So yeah, if we move them all out of the pen, then we know these are all the babies I made that are cave spoons. Oops. Also, if for some reason they weren't, if one of these is naturally spawned, he's not name tagged. So when I fly away, he'll despawn. Oh, there's another one. Yep, you guys are fine. You'll stay. Okay. Name tag you, name tag you, name tag you. There we go. And then let's get these babies to follow me. Okay. Come on over here to your new home. You'll love it, I promise. Okay. So then I'm going to put my cave spawned ones up there. Oh, you know what? We also need to double check chunk borders. Oh yeah, this is all within one chunk border. Good. Okay, how are we doing? Nudge these forward. There we go. Nudge these forward. Okay, and then can we do 4 more? Yeah, okay, so 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, so that's our first 8 cave spawns. Away with the boats. There we go. And one more. Okay, so yeah, these are all inside that chunk. Perfect. Let's go see how many we have. Oh, are we really short one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, no, we're short 2. Okay, and then we just need 2 more there. Okay. And then I'm only probably gonna need one more of you guys. So then we'll just fly away. Respawn the rest of you. Yep. And turn you into babies. Yeah, and I won't need all of you, but I'll bring you all for now in case we have any accidents. Yay, okay. Okay, and then let's take care of you babies. Don't need you, don't need you. Probably should have flown away just to make sure these guys are all persistent. Now that I already killed the others. Yep. Alright, how many do we have? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So these are my 16 cave spawns here. And then now we just have to wait for a total of 8 medium and small slimes to spawn over there. It is a little weird how once they're in the boats, their eyes turn black like that. It's kind of creepy. Okay, so there's one naturally surface spawned baby. Okay. Gonna need to go ahead and take these guys. I lost your attention. Come on. Okay, yay, there's 4. All right, fine, come on. I'll go ahead and take you too. Nope, come on. To the boat. Kind of surprised he wasn't hurting me. There we go, yay. All right. Yay. Okay. 2 more. Awesome. Okay. Ha. Okay. All right, baby. Come on. Yay. All right. So then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 surface spawns. And then let's double check chunks. Okay, so these guys are all in this chunk, which means 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that slime chunk should for sure be down, and this one over here should still be active. Yep, already have a spawn right there. So I'll be able to use this slime chunk to make the switch for that beacon, and we'll be done. But I think we're gonna call it there. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. If you want to see more, subscribe to my channel and click the bell to be notified when the next video comes out. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.